Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to achieve your middle splits. These are just going to be a series of stretches, hold for 30 seconds each, and practice several times a week if you want to see improvement. A little disclaimer before we get started, just note everyone's bodies are different, everyone's flexibility level is different, but it is something that you can work on consistently to improve. So I just want to make note of that. Please be careful with yourselves. Do not push yourself farther than you know that you can. And yeah, just be safe and modify as you need to. Some of these stretches might be a little advanced for some people, so I just want to make note of that before we get completely started. And I know I'm not in my usual setting. I'm actually at work right now. So yeah, we're gonna do this video here. But I usually like to warm up a little bit. I like to start with some leg swings. So that's what we're gonna do. So if you have a wall or something that you can hang onto, that's usually very helpful. So I just like to start with leg swings, just back and forth, taking deep breaths. And I like to circle in that hip a little bit, making sure that there's no little nicks, which there definitely are right now. So just taking note of that for myself. And just breathing, warming up that hip socket. And I'll go to the other side, same thing. So again, just warming up these hips, giving it a little swing, circling in that hip. And just taking deep breaths. Good, and once you're finished with that, you can do that for as long as you like, as long as you're feeling warm. Now we'll get started. So I like to start in a wide-legged position, reach down to that right side, all right? And once you're down there, you can bend that opposite leg for an inner thigh stretch. So actively reaching towards that leg, feeling that inner thigh stretch. And you can make it dynamic. You can bend and straighten while you're down here. Keep it straight or bend that leg. It is all up to you, but just make sure that you're breathing, taking your time. I like to do this for about 30 seconds on each side. And we'll go over to that other side. Same thing, reaching towards that leg, bending that opposite leg so you feel that inner thigh stretch. And just breathing. Good, next you're gonna drop that head, grab both those elbows and just swing from side to side. This is one of my favorite stretches of all time. Good, and after that, you will come back up. We're gonna turn those feet out, go into a sumo squat position, and you'll have both of those hands on those knees and sit into it. Now, what people kind of like to do is you can make it into a little bit of a shoulder stretch while you're at it and just drop one shoulder down at a time while actively pushing that knee outwards. And taking a deep breath, breathing, and other side, same thing. Good. Now you can either stay there or you can take a little bit further by reaching for those ankles and pushing your elbows on those knees and just pushing outwards. This is a little bit more of an intense stretch, so just make sure that you modify as you need to, and you are not obligated to do these in any way. This is just a little bit of an advanced move. Good, and once you felt a nice little stretch there, hands on the floor if you can reach. If not, just try to go as far down as possible as you can. And what I like to do is, if you already have your hands on the floor, is just walk them back in between your legs as far as you can. All right, you're gonna feel an active stretch here. Just be careful with yourself. And just keep breathing. Good. Once you've held that for about 30 seconds, we'll come back down to the floor. If you have a yoga block, you're gonna grab it, all right? You can do this without a yoga block, but if you wanna get deeper into those hip flexors, I do recommend one. So we're gonna place our yoga block down, place our foot on it, and we're going to go into a Spider-Man kind of position. So leg is bent, leg on the yoga block is straight. And what I like to do is I like to just point and flex my foot while I'm here. Feeling a stretch right along here. And just breathing. Good, and once you've done that for about 30 seconds, you'll switch to the other side. Again, placing that yoga block down, foot, leg bent on this side, and you're just actively stretching. And you can point and flex that foot. Take a deep breath in and out through your mouth. I think that breathing is really important when it comes to stretching. It helps me hold the stretch longer and it helps me focus. So if I'm very repetitive with talking about breath, that's why. It's because something that's really helped me in my stretching journey. And as someone who works out and is an athlete, it's just really helpful to always be aware of your own breath. And good, once you've done that side, we'll come out of it. We're still gonna be using that yoga block. So we'll come out, place that yoga block, foot on the yoga block. Now I did this stretch in one of my previous videos, so if you wanna go check that out, I believe it's the hip flexors video. But you're gonna place your yoga block on the floor, put your foot on it, and usually people lunge like this. However, we don't need to do that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on tucking the tailbone underneath. So we're scooping actively underneath, and you'll feel that stretch right along the front of your thigh and into that hip. And you'll just hold this and breathe. Again, actively thinking about scooping that tailbone underneath, curving to feel that stretch. It doesn't look like I'm doing much, but trust me, I feel it and you will too. So again, just breathing. And once you've held that for about 30 seconds, you'll come out of it. And usually I like to go into a front leg stretch. This is good for your front splits as well. So if you're actively trying to work on those as well, this is good for it. And I like to just point and flex the foot just because I feel a little bit of a deeper stretch along the back of my leg, and especially in my calves. And just breathing. And we'll go over to the other side, same thing, placing that foot onto that yoga block, actively thinking about tucking the pelvis underneath, right? So tucking and just feeling that thigh stretch right here. And breathing, because sometimes it can be a little intense, especially if you have tight hip flexors or even tight quads. All right, so just actively thinking about scooping underneath. And once you've held that for about 30 seconds, we'll go on to our front leg stretch and just pointing and flexing. And again, you could do this without the yoga block as well. The yoga block just adds extra support and a little bit more of a deeper stretch if that's what you are looking for. But if not, you can do this right on the ground, and that's completely fine as well. So after that, we're gonna go into our butterfly position. So feet together, knees apart. Try to focus on keeping that back straight. So we're gonna push our elbows down onto our knees and actively just try to reach our torso towards that foot. Less of our head to our foot and more of trying to reach that torso and laying it on top of that foot. You're gonna feel a nice hip stretch here. And just breathe. Just sink deeper and deeper into this position with each breath. And good. Next, we're gonna take a progression into a frog stretch. So first, we're gonna come out, both legs at a 90-degree angle, and you'll feel it on the inner thighs. So you're at a 90-degree angle, and what I like to do is I like to do just a bit of rocking very, very slowly, but just pushing my hips back, and when I need a break, I'll come forward. Just be very gentle with yourself, back and forward, and back, and forward. Good. And we'll come out of that by just placing our hips on the ground and putting our feet together. And what you want to think about in this position is just actively trying to reach your feet towards the ground. This is going to open up your turnout a little bit so you can help get into those middle splits easier. So just be careful, take a deep breath. Sometimes this position can be a lot for some people, so just keep that in mind. And good. You can just come out of that by straightening out your legs. I'm sorry, I keep on burping. All right. Next, we're going to go into some leg stretches. Now, if you have one of these, I will link this down below. It's a band, but it's specifically to help with your middle splits. I will demonstrate first without it, and then I will demonstrate with it. So, first, what you're gonna do is you're gonna open up to that V position or as wide as you possibly can. Try to focus on keeping those feet, those toes facing the ceiling. You don't want them to come down like this. You want to keep them actively up facing the ceiling. So we'll take a side stretch over first. So trying to keep this sits bone still on the floor. You're not raising it up, all right? You're keeping it on the floor and actively just going into that side stretch. You should feel all along the side of your body. Try to think about this hand reaching that foot, all right? And just breathe here. With each breath, just think about sinking a little deeper into the stretch and breathe. And we'll come out of it, go to the second side. Same thing on the second side, keeping both of your hips flat on the ground. Don't let one hip come up. Keep it on the ground, actively reach that hand towards that foot. Feel that side stretch all along the side of your body. And just breathe. Making sure your feet aren't turning in. Keep those toes pointed towards the ceiling. And we'll come out of it. Now this time we're going to turn and face our torso towards that foot, and you want to think about laying the torso onto the leg. So instead of the side stretch, we're actively reaching towards that leg with our torso now. So now I'm turned and faced towards that leg instead of over to my side. Turn and face towards that leg and reach towards that foot, okay? And just breathe here. Good, keeping those feet pointed towards the ceiling. And we'll come out of that and go to our second side. So turning, facing that leg, and trying to rest our torso on top of that leg. And just be aware of your breath and just sink into this stretch. I like to hold these personally for a little bit longer of a time than most other stretches, just because these are some of my favorite stretches in the world, and they're really good for opening up the hips and stretching those hamstrings as well. Good. Once you've come out of that, what I want you to do is reach your hands as far out as possible without letting those toes come in. All right, so reach those hands as far as possible, and then if this is too much, walk it back in. Walk it back out, keeping those toes up, and we'll walk it back in. And again, I like to do this maybe about 3 or 4 times, just walking out and walking in. And then on the last time, I like to hold for a good amount of time. You don't need to do 30 seconds because sometimes that can be really rough, especially if you're just starting out trying to learn these middle splits. But I usually like to hold it for a little bit more. And just breathing. See how my feet kind of want to turn in, but I'm trying to actively teach them to turn back out. And just breathe, and we'll come back in. And your legs might be a little sore, so just shake them out, and as a counter stretch, we're just going to turn one leg in at a time. All right. And that feels really good. Next, I'm going to show you how to work with this band. So pretty much it's just a giant loop, and it's a little hard to get into at first. So I'm just going to try to show this the best way that I can. And I'll link this down below as well. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to loop it around one foot, loop it around your back, and then loop it around your other foot. So I kind of like to be in like a 90-90 almost to try to get into this. What you're gonna do is you're gonna straighten out that first leg and then straighten out that second leg. And now you have the band actually actively pushing your legs outwards. And I like to kind of just sit in this. It really helps with my middle splits and helps me feel like a really, really deep stretch. So yeah, I pretty much just sit in this position for about 30 seconds because it's very intense on the legs. So just breathing. And using this. And then usually what I like to do is I like to do the walks again. And this really helps keep my feet facing the ceiling so I can go down into those middle splits, right? And so you could do that a few times. I just wanted to demonstrate that if that's something that you're interested in. It's definitely helped me as a dancer. So I do recommend this. It's one of the best bands that I've ever gotten. I just haven't used it in a while, so yeah. One of the last stretches that I'm gonna show you for your middle splits is all you'll need is a wall. So you got your wall. What you're gonna do, you're gonna put your feet up the wall, scoot your butt so it's touching the wall, and then you'll just let those legs drop completely, right? And you'll just sit in this position, let gravity pull your legs down. And breathe. And yeah. You pretty much hang out in this position for as long as you want, and it'll really help with those inner thigh stretches. But that for now is all that I got for you guys. So when you're finished doing all of those pre-stretches, then you're ready to actually go into those middle splits, okay? But yeah. I will link these products down below, the stretching band and the yoga block, of course. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and tell me what you want to see next. And if you're looking for other stretches that aren't as hard, go back to my channel. I have a ton posted right now that you can go back and reference to. But besides that, have a great day and keep stretching.